It was supposed to be the kind of love story that felt written in the stars. A middle school crush rekindled through Instagram. Two devout Christians who bonded over Harry Potter, Star Wars, and their faith. To everyone who knew them, Matthew and Lauren Phelps looked like the perfect match, two soulmates destined for a fairy tale life together. But behind the carefully crafted image of happiness was a darkness no one saw coming. Within less than a year of marriage, that fairy tale would shatter. And the woman who thought she'd found her forever love would be found stabbed over 100 times in her own bedroom, and her husband, the man she trusted most, would be the one calling 911. This is the haunting case of Matthew and Lauren Phelps, a story of devotion, betrayal, and a chilling murder that shook an entire community. Lauren Hugelmaier was the kind of person who lit up every room she walked into. Bright, hard-working, and devoted to her church, she seemed to balance everything. Her demanding job at a Fortune 500 company, side babysitting gigs, even a small candle business she ran from home. In middle school, she had once noticed a boy named Matthew Phelps. But like many childhood crushes, the connection faded. Until years later, when a simple Instagram follow request brought them back into each other's lives. At 26, they bonded instantly over their shared nerdy obsessions, late-night Star Wars marathons, Harry Potter references, church activities. Both deeply religious, they believed God had reunited them for a reason. To friends and family, it seemed like the perfect love story unfolding. Within a year, Matthew proposed. Lauren said yes. They celebrated with friends, smiling in photos that captured what looked like pure joy. But under the surface, Lauren's father felt uneasy. There was something about Matt he didn't fully trust. Still, Lauren insisted she had found her soulmate. On November 2016, they were married in a quirky, Star Wars-themed ceremony. The photos showed two people glowing with happiness. A match made in heaven, or so everyone thought. For a while, life seemed picture perfect. On social media, Matthew shared verses from scripture, inspirational quotes, and photos of himself and Lauren smiling at church events. But reality at home was very different. Lauren carried the weight of their marriage on her shoulders. She worked long hours at her corporate job, babysat in the evenings, ran the church nursery on Sundays, and even kept her candle business alive. Meanwhile, Matthew drifted from one short-lived job to the next. Instead of building their future, he spent hours lost in video games, buying digital add-ons, gift cards, and gaming merchandise with money they didn't have. Lauren tried to brush it off at first. She believed in marriage, in loyalty, in fixing things. But soon, the cracks grew too deep to ignore. The man who had once promised her faith and devotion was pulling away from church, skipping services, and questioning the very beliefs that had brought them together. And when Lauren confronted him, Matthew would grow defensive, even jealous. He accused her of being too close with a male friend from church, twisting her loyalty into suspicion. And then came the discovery that shattered her trust even further. Lauren learned that Matthew's first marriage hadn't ended because his ex-wife cheated, as he'd claimed. The truth was darker. Matthew had been the one unfaithful. To Lauren, this wasn't just a lie. It was a warning sign she had ignored. And the unease her father had once felt now seemed justified. But still, Lauren tried to hold their marriage together. She prayed, worked harder, and told herself that with enough faith, they could make it work. What she didn't realize was that Matthew's secret life, his obsession with control, money, and darker impulses, was just beginning to surface. By the second year of their marriage, Matthew's behavior grew impossible to ignore. Lauren's savings account, money she had worked years to build, was suddenly empty. When she confronted him, the truth spilled out. He had drained it, spending over $11,000 on video games alone, and another $1,100 on gift cards. Lauren was devastated. But Matthew wasn't done. He had also been quietly dipping into the Disney fund she had set aside for a future trip, stealing even from her dreams. Her family staged an intervention, hoping Matthew would finally see reason. For a short while, he promised to change, and things seemed calm. But the peace never lasted. Then came a humiliation Lauren would never forget. At a family photo shoot with Matthew's relatives, she was told to wear blue so they'd all match. But when she arrived, everyone else was dressed in white. Lauren stood out, embarrassed, realizing it had been a cruel setup. The betrayal wasn't just from Matthew anymore. It was from the family she had married into. Meanwhile, Lauren kept moving forward, working, smiling, pretending everything was fine. But privately, her patience was unraveling. In texts to her sister, she confessed she was exhausted. Matthew wasn't the man she thought she'd married, and little by little, she began to feel trapped in a marriage that no amount of faith could fix. Still, she stayed. Because Lauren believed in loyalty. Because she hoped things would change. But with Matthew, change was never coming. And what happened next would show just how far his darkness was willing to go. August 31st, 2017. For Lauren, it felt like the breaking point. That afternoon, a woman from Matthew's past, a female co-worker, showed up at their home uninvited. Instead of sending her away, Matthew left with her. Hours passed, and he ignored every one of Lauren's frantic calls. To Lauren, it was confirmation of what she had feared for months. That night, she texted her sister in despair. "I'm done. He's ruining my life." Her sister begged her to leave, but Lauren was torn. She wanted to believe the man she married still existed beneath the lies, that somehow God would intervene. But Matthew wasn't searching for redemption. He was spiraling into something far darker. Alone in their home that night, Lauren didn't know her husband had been researching cold medicines and their effects when mixed with alcohol. He had been lurking on a secret Instagram account filled with disturbing images, blood-soaked movie clips, satanic references, and posts about death. The mask of the devoted Christian husband was slipping, and before dawn, it would fall away completely. In the early hours of September 1st, 2017, a chilling 911 call came into Raleigh police. On the other end was Matthew Phelps. His voice was trembling, almost dazed. "I had a dream, and when I woke up, my wife was dead." He told the dispatcher he had taken too much Coricidin cough medicine, that he had blacked out, that maybe, in some dreamlike state, he had done something terrible. When officers arrived, the scene was worse than anything they expected. Lauren lay curled in the fetal position on the bedroom floor. Blood stained the walls, the carpet, even the furniture. She had been stabbed 123 times. The force, the repetition, the rage, it was overkill, the kind of violence no dream could explain. Matthew sat nearby, his hands and clothes soaked in blood. He told police he didn't remember a thing, that he loved his wife, that he couldn't believe what had happened. But detectives weren't buying it. The brutality of the attack told a very different story. The days that followed revealed a man living a double life. Police combed through Matthew's internet history and found searches about mixing cough syrup with alcohol and whether it could cause hallucinations. They discovered his secret Instagram account, an account Lauren had never known about. Instead of Bible verses and marriage photos, it was filled with disturbing content. Scenes from American Psycho, images of blood, and cryptic messages about death. Toxicology reports came back quickly. Matthew's claim unraveled. There was only a small amount of coracidin in his system, not nearly enough to trigger hallucinations. His story of a dream killing was a lie, and the evidence against him grew damning. Investigators determined Lauren had been asleep when the stabbing began. She had fought back, desperately trying to defend herself before finally collapsing. The truth was undeniable. This was no accident. This was cold, deliberate murder. On October 5th, 2018, Matthew Phelps stood before a judge. His defense crumbled, and he chose to plead guilty to first-degree murder. In court, he called himself a monster. He admitted he had destroyed the life of the woman who trusted him most. But remorse for Lauren's family meant nothing compared to the horror of her final moments. Lauren's mother, overwhelmed with grief, spoke directly to him. Lauren was beautiful inside and out. She didn't deserve this. And you took her from us. The courtroom was silent as the judge delivered the sentence. Life in prison without the possibility of parole. Matthew Phelps would never walk free again. Even years later, those who knew Lauren still struggle with the questions left behind. How could a man who claimed to love her unleash such violence? How did a devoted Christian husband transform into a killer obsessed with death and control? For Lauren's family, there are no answers. Only memories of the daughter, sister, and friend they lost. A woman who gave everything to those around her, until the very person she trusted most betrayed her in the darkest way imaginable. The case of Matthew and Lauren Phelps is more than a true crime story. It's a chilling reminder of how carefully darkness can hide behind a perfect image until it finally breaks free. And when it does, there is no going back.